So let's talk about some of the kind of initial things that we want to think about in terms of brainstorming meetings. You know, we want to really mix things up, and to get that engagement and to get that energy going, you're really counting on diversity, and that is in all aspects. So a lot of times people may think of diversity just on one component, you know, getting in maybe some different aged people from your team or a broader team. But think more broadly, you know, definitely have both genders involved significantly, and make sure there's also a broad range of roles represented, both higher level roles and lower level roles, because people bring in from that a different perspective. Another thing to think about is personalities. You know, bring in a diverse group of people, you know, not just you know, louder people that may be comfortable, but maybe even soft-spoken people. And think about geography. Bring in people from different parts of the company geographically, from different offices. Another thing to think about is time of day for your meeting. The mid-morning meeting is typically the very best, because people are awake, they're energized. If you do things in the afternoon, you've got post-lunch, you know, blues, if you will, or people are too preoccupied with other things. Also, one of the things we'll talk about a little bit more is loud voices. So in this diversity group that you have, it's going to, you want to be aware that not any one group or particular people have too much of a loud voice and occupy the conversation too much. So how do you do that? First of all, first suggestion we have is really think about a brainstorming session as analogous to a workout. And what do you do with a workout? It's, you know, because it's new and different, you want to warm up first, get the blood flowing. And the same thing applies to a brainstorming meeting. So have a lot of people think about icebreakers. Depending on your culture, that may, you know, work very well. I think that is culture dependent. You may want to consider, you know, going around the room, sharing a story, or you know, perhaps what we'll talk about kind of at the end, and having an initial seeded list of ideas. If you've done that ahead of time, then that might be a way to kind of get the juices going as well. Certainly incorporate movement. Can't stress enough that when people are physically moving, and I do mean, you know, up out of the chair and walking around, regardless of whether it's in person or not, even if it's virtual, encourage people to be standing. There's a lot of research that shows people are more creative and have better attention when they're physically moving. So if you've got people in person, definitely have just the old school concept of, you know, the big paper tablets on an easel or up against a wall. They do work well. And think about also dividing people into smaller teams, because that encourages movement as well. You want to definitely make it fun. So think about that. How can you do that? And whether it's cartoons or showing a video at the beginning, just to kind of loosen people up, make them laugh. You know, seriously, again, there's research that shows when people laugh, it changes the hormones and activity in the brain, and people are going to be more conducive to being receptive to new ideas. So we'll talk about this a little bit more, these seeded ideas, but that's a great way also to have that session of warm-up period work well.